After my breakthrough on DMT, I began to notice that every film I was watching had a metaphor for the archetypes in the DMT world. Let's take a look at one of our favorites, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
I don't know, but I don't like the looks of that tunnel up there. Hey, Wonka, I want off!
Round the world and home again. That's the sailor's way.
I don't like this ride, Daddy.
Wonka, do me a favor. Tell those creatures to stop battling thunder.
We're going too fast. We're going to sink. I know it. Why doesn't he stop the boat?
Faster! Hang on, darling. Close your eyes and hang on tight.
What's happening? What is this, a freak out?
Hey, this isn't funny, Wonka!
You can't possibly see where you're going, Wonka.
You're right. I can't.
Boy, what a great series this would make.
Wonka.
This is kind of strange.
Yeah, strange, Charlie, but it's fun.
This is terrific.
How much to get off the boat, Wonka?
I think I'm gonna be sick.
I can take a joke, but this has gone too far.
Tell our little guy to turn us around, Wonka!
Ah, now I am gonna be sick.
Baby, Daddy!
Couldn't be. There's no earthly way of knowing
He's singing.
which direction we are going. There's no knowing where we're rowing or which way the river's flowing. Is it raining? Is it snowing? Is a hurricane a-blowing? Not a speck of light is showing, so the danger must be growing. Are the fires of hell a-glowing? Is the grisly reaper mowing? Yes, the danger must be growing, for the rowers keep on rowing, and they're certainly not showing any signs that they are slowing.
Oh, make him stop, Daddy!
Wonka, this has gone far enough. Quite right, sir. Stop the boat.
The DMT entity is a living puzzle, constantly morphing and changing, so it's no surprise that it emerges into Willy Wonka. Watch.
Oompa, loompa, doompa-dee-doo. I've got a perfect puzzle for you. Oompa, loompa, doompa-dee-dee. If you are wise, you'll listen to me.
What do you get when you guzzle down sweets?
Eating as much as an elephant eats.
What are you at, getting terribly fat?
What do you think will come of that?
I don't like the look of it.
Oompa, loompa, doompa-dee-da. If you're not greedy, you will go far. You will live in happiness too. Like the Oompa, loompa, doompa-dee-doo.
Doompa-dee-doo.
A powerful message in The Shining. The Shining means to illuminate the third eye. Every movie has coded messages, every single film.
Do you know how I knew your name was Doc? You know what I'm talking about, don't you? I can remember when I was a little boy, my grandmother and I could hold conversations entirely without ever opening our mouths. She called it shining. And for a long time, I thought it was just the two of us that had the shine to us. Just like you probably thought you was the only one. But there are other folks, though mostly they don't know it or don't believe it. How long have you been able to do it? Why don't you want to talk about it?
I'm not supposed to.
Who said you ain't supposed to?
Tony.
Who's Tony?
boy was my mouth.
Is Tony the one that tells you things?
Yes.
How does he tell you things?
It's like I go to sleep and he shows me things. But when I wake up, I can't remember everything.
The three entities are, I believe, the Holy Spirit, the Father, and the Son. Whatever the three in one are. And then the last orb that flies by is the actual full three in one, as you'll see in a moment. If you're able to break through on the spaceship, the DMT will appear here and want you to chase it by leaving signs and synchronicities everywhere. This is actually a metaphor for God wanting you to follow Him. This is a metaphor of man being asleep and awakening to the presence of God. This also occurs in lots of different movies, this particular theme.
Look at that! Look at those suckers! They're glued to the road!
The three in one. This is a recurring theme in lots of stories. The three wise men, three little pigs. It repeats over and over and over. This ray of light is actually a metaphor, a secret meaning that it is the light of God, God's eye shining down and looking. I saw the eye in the pyramid in my first capsule ayahuasca trip. It floated by me, and as it floated by me, the eye turned and looked at me. It was so freaky. So you see the recurring religious metaphors in these movies. I see them in all the movies, and it gets really weird. After DMT, I went back and started looking at movies that I'd never seen, because all of a sudden this hidden metaphors and meaning or intention behind it started to emerge out of it toward me. This is a very, there's so many religious metaphors in this film. It is literally woven into the fabric of the story itself. The metaphor, the message here is, you can run but you can't hide. We're coming in regardless. And it's not just in this movie. These metaphors and meanings are woven into the stories in every single movie that I've seen. The Holy Ghost is the ghost in all of these films. And the duality, which I'll get to in a little bit, the duality is represented by light, good, or dark, not so good, benevolent. Children and innocents are always drawn to this thing, but parents, adults are freaking out whenever it appears. They don't know what the hell is going on. Now watch right here. You'll see a sparkle on the TV. That represents the Holy Ghost. In every scene of every movie that I've seen, I have found three really profound meanings, each beneath the other. It made me wonder, are the writers doing this intentionally, or is it coming through the collective unconscious through the writer? And that's when I looked at The Wizard of Oz, Alice in Wonderland, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, Synchronicity, where both of those movies sync up perfectly to the album. It said that they didn't create Dark Side of the Moon as a soundtrack for either Alice in Wonderland or The Wizard of Oz, and I believe that. But the fact that it does sync up with both of them, that shows 2 movies, 1 song, 3. And again, when you look at this even closer, the profound, incredible meanings in this movie. There are 3 profound meanings for every character in every scene. It just goes on, 3, 3, 3. And even more fascinating is that these characters are changing. They're changing to sort of imitate real life people. Now, it sounds bizarre, but it's true, and I'll get to that later. This also shows is that there is no free will at the personal level, but at the collective 3-in-1 level, and we're all actually the 3-in-1, but this illusion of separation allows us to have some sense of independence and freedom, but that's a complete illusion as well. And as these illusions of separation begin to fade and everything converges, you will only see you. You won't see any separation between characters in a story, your friends, you will only see you. It's really quite remarkable.
And after all, we're only ordinary men. And
In order for creation to occur, the eye split in two to create yin and yang, the light and the dark, the up, the down, the left, the right, the male, the female, the happy, the sad, the duality. And the eye is in both of them. that holds it together. And eventually what you start seeing, or what I start seeing, is as all these illusions fade, I only see me there. I don't see anyone else but me. I can't tell the difference between me and you. None whatsoever. I can't see any difference. There's no identity there. The ego doesn't want to let go of this tremendous illusion of itself, that we're actually different, but we're not different. We're not even, there's only one of us. We're not even two people walking around. We are actually one person walking around with the illusion that we are two people. It's incredible. And once this illusion fades, the ego doesn't like that. It wants to hang on to that illusion. It wants to keep this illusion of its reality and of its individual separation. But eventually it has to fade for all of us. And what we're seeing right now in our world is this illusion starting to collapse a little bit. And when that happens, people revolt. Countries go to war to enforce that illusion of separation. That's how strong the ego is. It will go to war and kill itself just to maintain that illusion of separation. There are three meanings to everything, even words and names. Let's look at one of these. The golden mean. Also, if you drop one letter, means the golden man. Now change one letter and drop another one, and you have the God and man. Three meanings for the same thing. And I see it in everything, everywhere. Even when I look at people or animals, I can see this crazy ghost inside them, this life force, this energy, and I recognize it, and I am starting to not see nearly as much separation between me and people and animals and trees and flowers, and I don't see any separation between me and words and sounds, music. I'm starting to feel completely not just connected with everything, but I'm starting to see the oneness in everything. And it's a little bit unsettling because the ego wants to enforce that sense of individuality, the I am me, and you are you. We are separate. But that's a complete illusion, and it's beginning harder and harder to see past that. Good means God, evil means Enlil, and the I is in both of them, because it's all one thing, but it is actually three things in one. Because it's three in one, it allows it to create this illusion of separation. Now, why would it do that? Why would we create these illusions? Because we want to have the experience and drama of life, to feel love and to be loved and to raise children and to have friends. We want all of those experiences. And I think that that's because they say it's lonely at the top. They have no idea that we are a single being, the only being that ever was in existence. And we are like the vampire, Interview with the Vampire. We are a immortal deity. And forever is a very long time to be alone. And that's why we created everything, so that we could have this temporary experience of separation and the illusions of all of the beauty in nature, which is really all the same thing as well. We're everything, and we are huge. We are massively big. Can't even comprehend how big we are. But all of this is an illusion, and that's really hard to wrap your head around. And a lot of people will have trouble with that and don't want to lose that illusion of separation, so they will resist that. You have people like atheists that are really in denial, and then you have people like me who can't see any, it's getting harder to see any separation at all between any of us. And the first person I saw this ghost in was Prince.
The winner is Prince for Purple Rain.
I saw the ghost inside of him, and it suddenly became obvious that we're fooling ourselves. This man, the little Prince, came here to Earth to write this song, to win this award so that everyone would admire and love him.
This is Lisa, and this is Wendy. Can I hold it?
Love to.
This is very unbelievable. I could have never imagined this in my wildest dreams, and I would like to thank the Academy, Mr. Albert Magnoli, my manager Stephen, Bob, Joe, Bobby, Mark, and Matt, who couldn't be with us today, and most of all, God. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
He knew he was coming down to Earth to write this song. Purple Rain is a song about us. No separation between the archetypes and the people, because it's all the same one thing, hard as it is to wrap your head around. Proof of this illusion can be found in the Mandela effect. Heard of the Mandela effect? It's people are remembering events and things in our past two different ways. Some are remembering things one way, and others are remembering it another. There's two possible ways, or two memories of the same thing, and this is the duality. This illusion of separation is starting to fade, and people are becoming nervous and anxious. They don't understand what's happening. They think it's the Illuminati. They think it's the CERN, and yeah, it is the CERN. But it's an illusion. This illusion of separation is starting to collapse. So C3 people means C3PO, or C3PO means C3 people. It's a tongue twister. The one likes doing puzzles and anagrams, and to see the real meaning behind things and what it is, and for what it is, you have to understand how the deity works, how it thinks. Einstein wanted to get into the mind of God. I have gotten into the mind of God.
It's a twister! It's a twister!
The I is in the center, and the am is the whole thing. But the am is the yin and yang. It's the duality that swirls around it, swirling around it. It's the storm. But the I is very calm in the center, very peaceful and still. That represents our consciousness. I think, therefore I am. And once you have seen past the illusion, you see the profoundness in everything. Everything has this incredibly profound meaning to it, three meanings to it. And wow, this illusion, people are walking around really delusional, thinking that they are real, and they aren't at all. Everybody is an illusion. We are a one entity named I Am, composed of three parts, and and it's really remarkable. The best analogy, or closest thing I can come to it, would be like a disco ball, a whole ball that reflects all of these fractal lights, that gives this illusion of separation in the room. The Mandela effect reflects this duality. People are looking at the world either through one side of the consciousness or the other, from the dark side or from the light side. The Mandela effect is named that because Nelson Mandela, some people remember him dying in prison, and some people remember him dying after he became president of South Africa. So there's the duality. The people that saw him die in prison are looking at the world from the yang side, the Enlil side, and the people who remember him becoming president are looking at him from the light side, or the God side. Nelson Mandela was actually God, who came to Earth, as we all do, and he wanted to experience man's tyranny. And that's why apartheid means apart I hide. To maintain this illusion of separation. I'm apart from you, I'm hiding, but I'm actually you. People are terrified of this illusion collapsing. Absolutely terrified. Look at an example. The Wicked Witch. Some people remember her being the Wicked Witch of the East, and some people remember her being the Wicked Witch of the West. And she's both. She's both the West and the East. It all depends on where you are relative. You are the observer, and everything is relative to the observer. So some people will see her from the East, and some people will see her from the West. This archetype is a living thing that is changing depending on who it's reflecting. For instance, Regina Dugan is a woman who used to work at DARPA, and she lived on the East Coast in New York. And during that time, this witch was the Wicked Witch from the East. But when Regina Dugan took a job with Google and moved to California, the Mandela occurred. The Wicked Witch suddenly reflected and became the Wicked Witch of the West. People can't understand this. They're like, how can time pass? How can the past change like this? Well, This is how it's working.
No, it was an accident. I didn't mean to kill anybody.
Well, my little pretty, I can cause accidents too. Aren't you forgetting the ruby slippers? The slippers. Yes, the slippers.
What this shows is that the archetypes are real and the people are reflecting them. There's actually no separation between these archetypes and the people, just the illusion of separation.
Give me back my slippers. I'm the only one that knows how to use them. They're no use to you. Give them back to me. Give them back.
Keep tight inside of them. Their magic must be very powerful, or she wouldn't want them so badly.
You stay out of this, Glinda, or I'll fix you as well.
Oh, rubbish. You have no power here. Be gone before somebody drops a house on you, too.
Very well. I'll bide my time. And as for you, my fine lady, it's true, I can't attend you here and now.
Ego refuses to give up the illusion. In this case, Dorothy refuses to give up the ruby slippers. But eventually, the illusion will collapse. And what we're seeing now with this Mandela effect is things changing. Past events are changing. They don't match our memories. And it's causing a lot of confusion among people.
It's all right. You can get up. She's gone.
All of these conflicts, fights, and wars in the world are the ego trying to enforce the illusion of separation, of difference. It doesn't want to accept the fact that it is a single entity. So that manifests as wars, us versus them, Christians versus Muslims. It is a complete clusterfuck, but that's a necessary evil and part of creation to have that. But now we are getting ready to jump to our next stage in evolution. And that's why we're seeing these illusions start to crumble, and it's frightening people. And, it is scary to suddenly realize that you may not, in fact, be real.
In darkness I summon thee.
This Mandela are affecting everybody. The Snow White one, in the original movie, she did say, "Mirror, mirror on the wall." But now it's changed to magic mirror. Let's take a look.
Magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest one of all?
People are freaking out about this because they clearly remember her originally saying mirror, mirror, and now the movie says magic mirror. And they are completely confused as to why. Now let's look at Shrek. Shrek originally, in the original movie, he said magic mirror. And everybody was complaining, it's not supposed to be magic mirror, it's supposed to be mirror, mirror. I remember this when it first came out. But now it's changed.
Magic mirror.
Don't tell him anything!
Evening. Mirror, mirror on the wall, is this not the most perfect kingdom of them all?
Now this is fascinating because in the first part of this scene he said it the way it was originally when Shrek came out, magic mirror, and then he said it the way it never was before, mirror, mirror. And what this is reflecting is the mirror is reflecting a mirror image. Everything is switching and changing and switching, just like the DMT entity. And there's a specific reason for this. As I said, the illusions are collapsing. And people are confused. They don't understand why their memories don't match the events that happened. And this is why.
Anytime. Her hobbies include cooking and cleaning for her two evil sisters.
The messages embedded in the Mandelas are complex. They span a huge number of scenes and movies and songs that when you tie it all together gives you a really large picture of what is happening in reality. And like I said, people are going to start to wake up to the fact that their reality may in fact be illusionary. And that's reflected in The Matrix and a ton of other movies about alternate worlds and alternate realities and parallel universes, because we are having a collective hallucination, the 3-in-1. It's try to wrap your head around that. The entire nature of our reality is illusionary. Both animation and what we think is real life is the same thing. There's no difference, just consciousness, creating it differently. And what you're going to see is things are going to change radically as a result of this Mandela. And the illusionary CERN that looks very real is exposing our reality to be, in fact, very illusionary, and people are going nuts. And it's going to get much worse, but as long as you realize that this is just a puzzle, and that our consciousness is creating this, and that we are actually just this single entity made of 3 parts and not individuals, it'll be much easier to swallow once things get really hairy. There's no separation, and fairy tales are just as real as real life, and real life is just as real as fairy tales. In fact, it's all just a fairy tale. Consciousness is so powerful, it maintains and constructs these rules that, and our ego feeds that and maintains the separation. So between the 3 in 1, we have a carousel of illusions around us. Here's a fun trick. Try and read this paragraph. You can still read the words and read the paragraph even though everything is completely misspelled and jumbled. This shows the nature of consciousness seen through the illusion. What you're looking at is an illusion, but your brain, you're interpreting it as not an illusion. The Tom Hanks Mandela is fascinating and a bit scary. There is a very dark message embedded in here, but I don't have time to go into it now. I'm exhausted. This video has been way too long already, so I'll get to this in the next video. Well, this video is extremely long. I didn't mean to go this long, but I knew I would have to use a lot of examples to try to get my point across. So, the illusion of me is going to go take a rest now, and wishes the illusion of you a very nice evening and a great day. Show lots of love and appreciation, and remember to treat people the way you want to be treated, because the mirror does reflect, and our subjective experience in this reality will flip. So you want to make sure to always be loving and kind and generous to yourself, which means being kind and generous to everyone else too.
Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog.